Imagine meeting someone exactly when everything seems to be falling apart. This is the story of Clara, a woman fighting to protect what she loves, and Jonas, a mysterious man carrying deep scars and silent secrets. On a ranch surrounded by dreams and dust, their paths cross, transforming their lives in ways they could never imagine. Prepare for a journey of courage, hope, and love, where every choice can change everything forever. Before we begin, welcome to the channel. Here you'll find stories that touch, inspire, and stay with you long after. If you enjoy heartwarming and emotional narratives, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. This helps me continue bringing stories like these to you, and together we can spread more hope throughout the world. Now, take a deep breath and join me at the beginning of this journey. Clara never imagined that day would start with her engine sputtering in the middle of a dirt road, under the relentless inland sun. The truck coughed and died, leaving only the sound of the wind carrying the scent of warm earth. That's when she saw him, a man on horseback, his hat covering part of his face. His eyes watching as if he knew exactly what was coming. He dismounted with a calm that irritated her, but there was something in the way he walked, as if he carried secrets that couldn't be spoken. "Can I help?" he said without smiling, but with a gaze that held the world. Clara hesitated, too proud to accept help, yet too lonely to refuse. He opened the hood and, with calloused hands, fiddled with wires and screws like someone mending an old wound. When the engine roared to life again, Clara felt something she didn't understand, something that reminded her there were parts of her that still wanted to trust. Without asking, he followed her to Sunset Ranch, offering work in exchange for a place to stay. And that's how Jonas, the cowboy with undecipherable eyes, entered Clara's life, bringing with him a silence full of promises and mysteries. Clara had barely begun to adjust to Jonas's quiet presence at Sunset Ranch when the past came knocking on her door with the sound of tires on gravel. Victor arrived with his cold smile, a light suit contrasting with the dust on the ground, and that gaze that seemed to possess everything it saw. He stepped out of the car like someone treading on territory he considered his own, offering flowers Clara hadn't asked for and promises she no longer wanted to hear. Victor was the type of man who bought what he desired, and now he wanted Clara's land to complete his plans of building condominiums where the trees still sang with the wind. But there was something more. Victor looked at Jonas, who was feeding the horses, with a curiosity as sharp as a knife. He asked who the mute cowboy was with a venomous tone, planting the seed of doubt in Clara's already weary heart. That night, Clara watched from her window as Jonas stood alone, gazing at the stars as if talking to ghosts, and she wondered who he truly was, where that skill with horses came from, that silent strength that seemed both dangerous and safe at the same time. As Victor circled the ranch with veiled proposals and threats, Clara felt surrounded by shadows, and the largest of them was the mystery named Jonas, who now walked among her fields, changing everything just by his presence. Clara found the truth on a night when she wasn't looking for answers. It was raining heavily. The wind lashed against the windows of Sunset Ranch, and Jonas hadn't returned. She heard a noise coming from the barn and, on an impulse, grabbed her flashlight and ran outside. There, among old boxes and wet hay, she found an open metal box, revealing old newspaper clippings with Jonas's photo on a magazine cover. A younger but unmistakable face, next to words like "missing billionaire" and "tragedy destroys heir." Clara's hands trembled as she leafed through the papers, each headline a blow, each detail a crack in the story Jonas had let her believe. The sound of footsteps made her turn, and there he was, drenched, his eyes as dark as the night behind him. For a moment, the ranch seemed too small to contain the silence between them. Jonas confessed in a low voice, almost a whisper, about the tragedy that made him abandon everything. The death of his sister in an accident caused by his company, the weight of money that bought silence but didn't buy peace. He fled, leaving the empire behind, trying to be just a man among horses, trying to find a place where he could breathe without guilt. But now, Clara felt the weight of the lie. The man she was beginning to love was also the man who had hidden his true identity. And in that instant, The ranch seemed to divide itself between the trust that was blooming and the fear of everything he could destroy. On the morning Victor sent his men to tear down the back fence, Clara understood there was no more time for resentment. The crashing sound of falling posts, the cries of frightened horses, the smell of earth torn by the tractor. It all felt like a nightmare becoming real. Clara ran to Jonas, who stood on the porch, his gaze steady, as if he'd known this day would come. She wanted to scream, to kick him out, to tell him he had no right to stay after all the lies. But when his eyes met hers, there was a silent promise, a strength that said they needed to fight together or lose everything. Jonas picked up his hat, descended the wooden steps, and walked beside her towards the rising dust, where Victor's thugs laughed as they cut the barbed wire. Clara felt rage burn in her chest, but looking at Jonas, she also felt courage rise like fire within her. For the first time, Clara realized she didn't have to face Victor alone. They hatched a plan that night, Jonas using his experience to anticipate Victor's every move, while Clara rallied neighbors and the community, asking for help to protect what was theirs. In that moment, even amidst the ruins of broken fences and threats carried on the wind, Clara understood that Jonas wasn't just a man with secrets. He was the ally she needed to face their common enemy, together without fear. The sun hadn't even risen when Victor's trucks invaded the dirt road, kicking up dust like a declaration of war. Clara was ready, her boots firm on the ground, her heart beating so loudly it seemed to echo in the pre-dawn silence. Jonas emerged from the barn, his fists clenched, his gaze too calm for someone who knew what was coming. The community arrived soon after, neighbors with determined faces, men and women who refused to see that piece of land turn into another of Victor's concrete construction sites. The confrontation began with sharp words, Victor stepping out of his luxury car with a cold smile, holding documents and eviction threats, but Clara was prepared. While she confronted Victor with evidence and laws he tried to ignore, Jonas moved forward when the thugs approached, knocking one of them to the ground with a precise blow, using the strength he had so long tried to hide. The sound of breaking wood mixed with shouts, but in that chaos, something shifted. Clara felt fear transform into courage, and Jonas felt the weight of his ghosts dissolve as he watched Clara protect her home with every fiber of her being. When the police finally arrived, Victor was already defeated, driven out not only by the law but by the unity of a community that refused to bow down. In that dawn, Jonas and Clara looked at Sunset Ranch, taking a deep breath, knowing they had won the first battle together, sealing an alliance that was now unbreakable. When silence finally returned to Sunset Ranch, Clara realized there was more to rebuild than broken fences or torn-off doors. There was something inside her that needed mending, and Jonas seemed to carry the same pain. That afternoon, as they gathered the pieces of wood scattered by the wind, their gazes crossed like an unspoken promise. Jonas, covered in dirt, smiled genuinely for the first time, a smile that seemed to illuminate the shadows he always carried. Clara, tired but firm, felt her heart open to something she swore she would never allow again: hope. Together they raised the gates, painted the fences, and cleaned the stables, each hammer blow a step away from fear and closer to something greater than the pain of the past. Jonas's hands trembled as he touched the horses, remembering his sister, remembering what he had lost, but Clara was there, holding the water bucket beside him, telling him with her eyes that he didn't have to carry it alone. And when the rain fell at dusk, Clara and Jonas remained in the field, wet, laughing, letting the water wash away the invisible wounds that time had left. That day, Sunset Ranch was not just land. It was healing. It was the beginning of a home rebuilt not only in its walls but in the hearts of those who finally decided to stay. It was on a clear night, when the stars seemed like lit lanterns in the sky, that Jonas took off his hat and knelt on the porch of Sunset Ranch. Clara was laughing, trying to wipe flour from her hands after baking bread for the community, when she saw him there, on his knees, holding a simple wooden box he'd made himself from pieces of the fence they'd rebuilt together. Jonas's eyes trembled, as if every word weighed a lifetime. He said he had spent so long running that he had forgotten what it was like to belong somewhere, until he found Clara and that piece of land that smelled of freedom. Clara remained silent, her breath caught, as memories of everything they had lived through passed like a movie. The fears, the torn-down fences, the laughter in the rain, the glances that said more than 1,000 promises. And when she said yes, the night seemed to sigh, and Jonas cried unashamedly, his head resting on her lap, feeling that he had finally found a home. Months later, the crying that echoed at Sunset Ranch was not of fear, but of life. Little Victoria was born with watchful eyes and dark hair like her father's, bringing with her a new beginning. Jonas and Clara looked at that child and understood that every pain, every fall, every battle had prepared them for that moment. Victoria was the living hope that love builds futures even when the past insists on hurting. On the morning the Ranch of Hope sign was erected at the wooden entrance, Clara felt her heart beat as if she were seeing that place for the first time. It was the same soil where so many tears had fallen, but now every grain of earth seemed to carry a greater purpose. Jonas, with Victoria bundled in a blanket in his arms, looked at Clara as the first horses arrived for the new project, an equine therapy center where children and adults could find healing by riding and caring for the animals. The old barn, once silent, now echoed with joyful voices, the sound of hooves treading on the earth, laughter from children who had never dreamed of touching a horse. Jonas, once a man who fled from everything, now helped raise every fence with his own hands, guided the children patiently, and taught everyone to ride as if each horse were a bridge to something greater. Clara walked beside him, looking at the faces of parents who arrived seeking hope and found a place that didn't judge their pain. They saw the ranch transform into a refuge, a sanctuary where invisible wounds found space to heal. And as the sun set behind the hills, Clara held Jonas's hand, knowing that every step they'd taken had been worth it, because now Ranch of Hope wasn't just theirs. It belonged to everyone who needed a reason to keep going. Years passed since Jonas and Clara decided to face the world together, and Ranch of Hope became more than a home. It became a living symbol of overcoming and love. Sitting on the porch with Victoria playing in the fields nearby, they knew that the true victory wasn't just in protecting the land, but in building a future where truth and trust were the foundation of everything. Every scar, every revealed secret, every battle faced had led to that moment of peace. Jonas looked at Clara, and in her eyes he saw the strength that united them, the daily choice to continue believing in each other, even when the path seemed impossible. Their love wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it was this reality that transformed Ranch of Hope into a true home. Because in the end, it's not the land that makes a house, but the people who choose to stay in it, together, steadfast, facing whatever comes. And so, between smiles and silent promises, Jonas, Clara, and Victoria showed that true home is where the heart finds its purpose and where love builds, day after day, a life to call its own. If this story touched your heart, remember, there's always a way to start over, even when everything seems lost. Love, courage, and truth can build a home where before there was only pain. If you believe this too, please like and share this video so more people can feel this hope. Subscribe to the channel to continue receiving soul-warming stories that remind us that, even amidst battles, there's always a tomorrow waiting to be born.